Welcome back in, one and all, to Scramble Drill Dynasty Podcast. We play Dynasty Fantasy Football. We love Dynasty Fantasy Football. And we're going to talk about it more than you probably care to listen, but that's your problem, not ours. I am Ben. Across from me is Landon. Landon, how are we doing?
What an intro.
What an
Blaming
intro.
the listeners for listening to this.
It's like people complain about movies these days, and like the studios are like, that's your fault for not liking it.
Yeah, right. That's why is our movie not good? It's our audience fault. Why do we talk too much about football? It's our audience fault.
Yeah, this is your guys' fault.
Yeah.
I like starting out with a little bit of confrontation every day. Get the blood flowing.
We've said it before. If someone is listening to this podcast, they are way deep in the weeds.
You have a problem, sir.
You love fantasy football, so we're here to talk about it. Give our takes.
Yeah, and I'm really happy. I hope we can be a little bit of enjoyment for you on whatever you're doing, probably driving.
Right.
Josh, once again, is not here. You want to talk about some commitment issues? We may have to cut him.
Ben, I hate to break this to you. I think the only reason Josh wanted me to start coming on this podcast is because he's done. I think that's what's happening. He's sending you hints every week. He's done with this.
I mean, he's got his history podcast, which, props to him, is going really well.
Yeah, great. That's great.
I think he's actually making money off of it. And this podcast 100% does not make any money, so
no,
I can't fault that at all.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
All right. Today in store, we've got, last week we kind of talked just draft reactions and by position, what we thought about what happened. So this time we figured we'd actually go and rank the entire rookie class, not the entire rookie class as a whole, but kind of our top 2 rounds, and we kind of did it in tiers, so tier 3 is going to go a little bit past round 2 of your rookie draft, assuming our rankings will be SuperFlex, 12 teams with a tight end premium in there. That's what we based this off of, so you can look at your own league and kind of make adjustments from there. If it's not tight end premium, hey, bump the tight ends down a touch. Not a huge amount. I think the tight ends are really, really good, so don't miss out on them. But bump them down a touch. So that's where we're at. We'll go a little bit past pick 24 because we have, I think that's tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tier 7 is a little bit bigger for us, so that's kind of where we will be at. Did I miss anything, or are you ready to jump into this?
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, we do the 12-team Superflex tight end premium. I feel like that's probably the most common. And another thing, the shallower your league, in my head, I elevate running backs a little bit more in those leagues just because the shallower the league, you're looking for top-end talent. And the receiver position is super deep. Like if you're in a 12-team start 11 or whatever, and you're starting 3 receivers and 3 flex, you want as many receivers as you can get because it just helps fill out that roster. And there's just not as many good running backs as there are receivers. So if your league's shallower, bump running backs up. Obviously, if your league's not tight end premium, bump tight ends down, that kind of deal. But that's how we'll rank them.
Yeah, I mean, like in our Scramble Drill League, it's a start 11 tight end premium, and receivers are absolutely king there, versus our Mully League, which is a smaller league, smaller lineups. You cannot trade for a running back, dude. It is about impossible.
You got to have running backs.
Yeah.
So,
all right. That being said, our first overall pick is going to be a running back, and it's not close. It's Ashton Jeanty.
Travion Henderson. Oh, yeah, Ashton Jeanty. You're right. And there's nothing to talk about.
Landon? Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
I feel like we discussed it at length. He's the best running back in the class. He went to the best landing spot. Next.
Yeah, next.
He is in his own tier, and we did it last. We've been talking about the 102 being in its own tier. You mentioned before the show there's kind of been some discourse as to should he actually be in his own tier, and people are kind of taking him at picks 3 and 4 some, but you, me, and Josh all agree that Omarion Hampton is in a tier by himself at 2. I mean, first-round running back to an elite landing spot. I've got to.
He's a guy. I mean, he's a first-round talent. There's just not a lot of first-round talents at the running back position anymore. The NFL doesn't take them in the first round. So when they do, your eyes should pop out of your head. And they're telling you, Jim Harbaugh, who loves to run the ball, is telling you,
Greg Roman,
of everything we need. I know that they ended up taking a wide receiver in the second round, which we'll talk about, obviously, but there was going to be running backs there in the second round. They knew that. Like, they knew this is a deep running back class, and they still said, nope, we're taking this guy. Greg Roman, like you mentioned, they're going to pound the rock, and this dude is a ridiculous talent. I mean, I'm not the biggest college football fan, but I am a North Carolina fan, so when I watched college football recently, I've watched him, and, dude, take him. I've seen him going, and we'll talk about this as we get into our next tier. The 2 people I've seen go ahead of him, it's not even Cam Ward. I've seen Tet and Travis Hunter going ahead of him, which we'll talk about Travis Hunter. That's probably the most controversial pick in the draft. Like, where do we rank him? But as for us, the 102 it's Hampton, and it's with a bullet.
Yeah, I'll give you, if it's an IDP league, then yes, take Travis Hunter at 2 because he's going to score.
IDP league.
Yeah. I mean, you might can take Travis Hunter at 1 in an IDP league because he's going to get receiving and defensive stats, but in your typical league, absolutely not. In our opinion, it's Omarion Hampton by a mile.
Yep.
All right. Tier 3. You and I pretty much agree for the most part. Josh had a few differences. So this is a composite list, which Josh likes to joke about all the time. But yeah, we put Cam Ward overall at 3. I think I had him at 3. You had him at 3. Josh had him a little bit lower, but still in the same tier. I feel like I've got to. He's went first overall to a good situation, and he's a good talent.
He's a good talent, rushing upside, right? He's going to run for some touchdowns. And, yeah, he went first overall. And, guys, I know we've talked about the running backs all year, and we should have, and great, and I love it. We still play SuperFlex fantasy football. You got to have quarterbacks. You've got to have quarterbacks. Now, we do have him in a tier, and this tier is 6 people deep for us. So let's say you're picking at the 103 and somehow you're loaded at quarterback. You've got 3 really good ones. We're not saying you have to pick him here. He is in a tier with 6 other guys. But for us, not knowing anything about team build or team makeup, give me the quarterback. If I have all these guys in the same tier, give me the quarterback because that has the highest upside to help you win your league. And
it's the position that's going to hold the value.
That's what I was going to say. He's got I'm looking at this tier we have of everyone there. He's probably the only one who has a chance to be a first round startup pick next year. Like, the ceiling is higher, and he's going to hold his value
in that tier,
more.
In that tier.
Yes.
Genty and Hampton could be first rounders too, but in this tier.
I'm talking about first round startup picks.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
in that tier of players, yes.
Yes, he's the only one. And think about this. J.J. McCarthy didn't lose value this year. He didn't play. And he was drafted 11th, 12th, 10th, something like that. This dude was drafted first overall to an offensive coach, and there's some weapons. Like, he's not going to just nothing. There's some weapons there. Calvin Ridley's fine, right? I mean, Tony Pollard's fine. And I love him here. Josh had him at 5, so he wasn't, like, out on him. He had him in this tier. But for us, he's going to be at the top of tier 3.
Yeah, I mean, the other guy I'm thinking of, I would say last season went about as bad as it could for Caleb Williams, and he's still a second-round startup pick. So, come on. Like, and I know Caleb had been hyped up for years, so there is some name value with him. But when a guy goes first overall, even like a Bryce Young, whose career has been as bad as it could go for a first overall pick, he still got value.
Yeah. I'll just mention this, and it's not a perfect comparison, but it's a pretty good comparison. We look at the guys behind him: Henderson, Judkins, Tet, Travis Hunt. We look at these guys right in this tier. Just remember, last year Jaden Daniels was going 5th or 6th pick. Last year Drake May was going 5th to 7th pick. Like, we always like the flex guys. They are shiny, they are flashy, but when you have a quarterback with this draft capital, a team that has this much invested in them, man, just take him. Even if you have reservations about him as a player, just take him.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of flex guys, we have both the Ohio State running backs next, Henderson and Judkins. I think Josh and I had Henderson a little bit higher. You had Judkins a little bit higher. To be fair, I think all three of us had them both back-to-back, so it does not matter to me whichever one of these two guys you like next, take them.
Yeah, I love both these guys. Like I said, gun to my head, I take Judkins, but they're both super versatile. They're both good landing spots. I think probably for me, just the fact that the Browns had both these guys on the board and they chose Judkins, and yeah. I think I like that landing spot a touch better. That's the difference for me. But we have him at 4 and 5. I have Judkins a slightly ahead. The question comes in is I consistently, in the mock drafts and the stuff I look at, almost every time I see Tet and usually Travis ahead of both of them, but both of us have them at 4 and 5.
And
for
I think
me,
Josh
the reason
had him
is
over the receivers too.
Yeah, Josh had him over the receivers too. For me, the reason is I almost feel like it might be wishful thinking on my part, but it's just like this is what we've been talking about all year. It's running backs, running backs, running backs. There's so few good ones in the NFL. I know it came back a little bit last year, but there's so few good dynasty running backs. When I see these guys who I think could be high-end RB2s, possibly low-end RB1s as rookies, I can't help myself. I've been loading up on receivers the last few years. Give me some running backs. That's why I have them ahead of Tet.
This is the year to bring in the running backs. And speaking of Tet, he's next.
Yep.
We love the running backs, but the guy went 8th overall. Same draft capital as Drake London, Garrett Wilson, guys like that. And he's built like Drake London. 6'4", 6'5", big body. Not a terrible situation, honestly. I mean, going to a team that Bryce Young is kind of on the come up with not great weapons as it is. He comes in, and I'm pretty sure he's the one, day one there.
He is the one. He is the one. So Tet, I felt like if the draft would have been in January, everyone would be super high on Tet because everyone was so high on him back then. And then for whatever reason, I didn't think he had a terrible offseason, but people just started picking him apart more and more. They picked apart his film. They picked apart different aspects of his game. And by the end of it, it felt like...
Didn't go to the draft, didn't do... I don't even know if he did a pro day stuff, so that hurt. It hurt. Yeah, they don't like that.
Well, so it hurt the dynasty community's view of him, but it didn't hurt the NFL's. How do I know? No. He went 8th overall. That's how I know. So I just felt like he got kind of unfairly picked apart there at the end. He's a very good prospect. He might not have everything you want, but he went 8th overall. Good situation. The question is, we have him at 6, and we have him one spot ahead of Travis. Ben, I'm telling you, I've seen Travis go 102 pretty often. What is your thinking in having him this low as opposed to going all in and having him up at the 102, 103?
I can't put him there until he's at least, I don't know, man. It's this up in the air of Jacksonville says they're going to start him at receiver. Okay, awesome. That's great. And they're going to work him into the defense. I still don't like that terminology. People, I feel, have gone sort of, and maybe rightfully so, that they're going to start him on receiver and use him there first. Great, but he is going to go to defense. So that is still looming. I don't know what that looks like versus I know Tet is going to be the instant wide receiver one for his team. There is BTJ there, and he's going to play part-time defense.
Yeah.
Is he more talented? Absolutely. He's absolutely more talented than Ted McMillan.
If you want to talk about upside, you could argue me into Travis Hunter has the second most upside in this draft. You could argue me into that.
Yeah.
But if you want to talk about what I actually think is going to happen, I think you're looking at a guy who's going to play 70-ish% of the offensive snaps, maybe up to 80, and in those snaps be the wide receiver 2. Now, he's a super talented wide receiver 2. Don't get me wrong. He is freaky talented, and I get that. But I know Ted is going to have every opportunity to be the wide receiver 1 there. And I know Ted is going to be on the field 95% of the snaps, if not more. I just can't say that about Travis. Yeah. And in this specific draft, when you're going to give me the option of a Hampton or a Ward or a Henderson or a Judkins that I know are fully focused on basically scoring fantasy points. Like, that's not what their team's focused on, but they're going to get all the opportunities in the world. I'm 80% sure Travis Hunter's going to get a lot of opportunities, but I'm 100% sure about those other guys, so I'm going to put him towards the end of this tier.
Yeah, I mean, and I do agree. I think you said this last episode, where when he's going to be on the field for the offense, it's going to be on passing plays, so you know he's going to have opportunity. When he's on there, it's going to happen. The question is just, is it situational, or does he play 70% of the snaps? If he plays 70% of offensive snaps, you can move him up to 3 if you wanted to. If you wanted to say he's going to play 70% of offensive snaps, maybe even up close to Hampton. I just don't know what that looks like yet, and the ambiguity is the problem with Travis Hunter.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If I will say this, if you're somebody who has multiple picks in the first round, like if you have the 103 and 106, and you know, even if Travis Hunter isn't everything you want him to live up to, you're still going to have another chance to get one of these guys. I'm fine with taking him at 103 just for the upside, because his upside is crazy. But if I only have one pick in those first 6 or 7, I feel a little more comfortable going with one of these other guys, just because I know everything in their game is about scoring fantasy points. And Travis Hunter, a lot of his game is about covering people who score fantasy points. It scares me a little bit. But them trading a 26 first did change things. Like, if you say that didn't change anything, that's a huge deal. They spent 2 first-round picks on this guy. So I get it.
A whole lot of people with coverage it too, like that talk about teams don't trade up like that to take corners. They just don't take them that high.
Yeah. So I get it if you want to push him up more, but we're going to be a little more conservative on him.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe next year we look at this and we were dead wrong.
Yeah, I have to play conservative. I can't. If you got a top 3 pick in your rookie class, either you're a brilliant dynasty player and you were able to finagle that pick from somebody, or your team wasn't very good, and I just can't take that much risk for a team that's not that great. I need something I can count on.
I would feel a lot better about taking Cam Ward and him being not good and me setting the pick on fire for that reason than me taking Travis Hunter and then 2 years down the road he's playing 40% of offensive snaps. You know?
Yeah. Like if he turns into a Deion Sanders, which is like his role model. Deion is most known as being what? A corner. Deion was good on offense. Yeah. He made some pretty great plays. He was a corner.
Right. And that's definitely on the board. That's on the board.
Yeah. Last guy in this tier, and this is assuming tight end premium. We've got Tyler Warren, who we talked about on the last episode, why we ended up liking Warren over Loveland. Both great. but we think Warren's a little bit more talented, a little bit better situation.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back a little bit to the Henderson Judkins conversation where the Bears were on the clock, Warren and Loveland both available, and they chose Loveland. It's just, it's the mouths to feed thing is why we have Warren ahead, and I'm going to put him in this tier just because, yes, rookie tight ends typically don't produce. We talked about this last week. But when they go this high, a lot of times they do. I mean, you talk about T.J. Hawkinson, you talk about Bowers last year, you talk about Kyle Pitts. His rookie year had 1,000 yards, and we don't even know if he's any good now. Like, he's going to have every opportunity to be good. The Colts have been talking about tight end for forever. They didn't get Bowers last year. They watched the Raiders take him when that was like no one saw that coming. They were looking to take Bowers. They wait another year and they get this guy. Is he as good as Bowers? No. But if he has 75% of the production, he's going to be a top three round startup pick next year.
I mean, if he has 75% of the production, that's going to put him as like a top 5 tight end his rookie year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Not that it will happen, but it absolutely can happen because Tyler Warren, is he as good as Brock Bowers? No, probably not. He's still an elite prospect.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see him in a lot of rookie classes, us ranking him higher than 8. Like 8, honestly, in my head it's low, but I look ahead of him, I'm like, well, who would you put him ahead of type deal? But if you have the 108 and you get Tyler Warren in a tight end premium 12-team league, you feel great about that.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's
you feel great about that.
All right, we put a tier break after Tyler Warren, and we've got 3 guys in the next tier. These next 2 running backs are going to be another one of which do you prefer. It's going to be, I feel like these 2 are going to cause more controversy than it should as to which we prefer. You and I both prefer Caleb Johnson. Josh definitely prefers R.J. Harvey. Again, we've got them back-to-back. If you think you like R.J. Harvey because he's in a better situation, potentially, take him. I like my running backs playing for Sean Payton. They do really well.
Yeah, not a ton to say. I like Caleb Johnson. I think he perfectly fits Pittsburgh. I think he could be what Mike Tomlin wanted Najee Harris to be. He just never really fit in to the role. And then R.J. Harvey, again, people didn't think he'd go as high as he did, but it doesn't matter. He did. He went that high. Sean Payton took him in the 2nd round, so you take him this high. We have both of them in the same tier, but ahead even of Colston Loveland, even in a tight end premium league.
It's Colston Loveland he's just tough, man. Obviously, he went 10. Same argument you've been saying, where all the tight ends and players were on the clock. Ben Johnson said, "I want that guy," which is awesome.
Yep.
But there's a world where like the Bears could trade DJ Moore, and Colston Loveland is still the 3rd target in the offense. Not saying that will be the case, but that's just how many mouths they have to feed. It's a lot. And DJ Moore's established. DJ Moore's probably going to be the one. Rome is looking to break out. We'll talk about Luther Burden later, but you know that I love him. So he's could be the 4th option. And we don't know if Caleb Williams is good yet.
Yeah, and people talk about the Sam Laporta comparisons, and you should, and I get that, and that makes a lot of sense with Ben Johnson. But Laporta, when he was at his best, his rookie year, he was the 2nd option. And then last year, I mean, Jamison Williams takes a tiny step up. Not a huge, he wasn't great, but he was a lot better. And all of a sudden, Laporta is the 3rd option, and the production fell off the table. Well, Loveland is hopefully the 3rd option, possibly the 4th. He's probably going to be around the same amount of targets as DeAndre Swift, something like that. And so it's hard for me to see him coming away with a ton of targets, but you look at Ben Johnson taking a tight end this early, if you're in a tight end premium league, it's hard to let him fall past the 111.
Yeah, this is a tight end that just went 10th overall. That's
10th
higher
overall.
than Brock Bowers went. He's not better than Brock
Yeah.
Bowers, but it's higher than Brock Bowers went. It's up there with, I think T.J. Hawkinson went at 8. So,
Yeah. Hawk went at 8. Yep.
and I feel like we said the negatives to, like, hey, he could be the 4th option in the offense. If he's a touchdown machine, like he's a great red zone target as it is. Like he could score 10 touchdowns this year. Wouldn't be shocked.
That's why we have him.
Wouldn't be shocked.
That's why we have him here. I mean, even with our reservations, like you kind of mentioned it, like we've said basically only negatives, and we still have him ahead of really, really good players because we're like, with this draft capital, this is where he has to be.
It has to be. All right. We put another tier break. You actually had a quarterback in the same tier with Loveland and them. Josh and I had him a little bit lower, so that's why where the composite pulls him down. But dropping down to tier 4, it's a little bit of a bigger tier. We've all got Jackson Dart composite at pick 12, I think.
Yeah, Josh was much lower on him, I think, than we were. But I think we both had him. You had him at 13. I had him at 12. Like, actually, I may have had him at 11. I don't remember. But he's a quarterback that went in the first round that's going to get
him
an opportunity to start. Like, he's going to get an opportunity to start in his first 2 years. Brian Daboll,
this year.
Is he on the hot seat? Yes. But he is a good offensive coach. He has had Daniel Jones to work with the last little bit. And I think him being on the hot seat probably means Dart's going to get a chance this season. Especially if they're not winning games with Russell Wilson. Like, this is going to try to save his job. And one way to save your job is, hey, look at this rookie quarterback and look at what I can do with him. So he's probably going to get a chance to start this year. He went in the first round. They traded up to get him. And I mentioned it last week. Peter Schrager, when I heard him say Jackson Dart was the Giants guy since January, I knew right then, like, this guy is a first-round pick in your fantasy draft, in SuperFlex drafts. He just is. He has rushing upside as well. He checks a lot of the boxes. He has Malik Neighbors. He has now Cam Scatterbo and Tyrone Tracy, which you put those two running backs together and you've got a decent back. Like, I really... Yeah, I would have him in the other tier with Johnson, Harvey, and Loveland. And if I'm a QB needy team, and I can get this guy early second, late first, I feel really good about it because he's going to get a chance to start.
Yeah, if I've got like you said, a QB needy team, and say I don't have a top 4 pick, because that's most likely where Cam Ward is going to go. Say I missed out, I've got pick 6. I've got pick 6, 9, and 12. I would absolutely love taking the skill guys and then grab Dart there and see what happens. Maybe it's nothing, but he's going to get a chance. I mean, the only other, unless he's, who was the guy? The Broncos drafted him a while back. Do you remember? And he never ever got a chance. It's only like one time I can ever remember. Paxton Lynch. That's the only other first-round quarterback I can ever remember that got drafted, and then they just said no, and he never played.
I mean, Trey Lance got like a game and a half.
That's true, but he did get hurt. Now, he was bad, but he did get hurt.
He got hurt.
He got hurt. So he's gonna get time under center.
I'm telling you, Daboll being on the hot seat is like, and again, if you take this guy at the 201 or 202, which, because I think I'm higher on him than a lot of people are. If you take him at the 201 or 202, you know what happens in week 7 when you get the alert? Brian Daboll says Jackson Dart is going to start this week. You can trade him for a 26 first immediately. Like, even if you don't like him, take him. You are going to get a value win where you take him. I promise.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got, I think it's all receivers in this tier after Jackson Dart. And I feel like we can just...
Yes.
We can kind of just list them all together and then kind of talk about where we land. Our composite list landed them with Matthew Golden at 13, Jaden Higgins at 14, Emeka Ibuka at 15, Luther Burden 16, Trey Harris 17.
Yeah.
I don't think Matthew Golden's the best receiver in this tier. But
I don't think so either. If I had to go talent-wise, I would have probably Ibuka and Burden at the top, and then the other guys following. Yeah, but he went in the first round. I mean, he went in the first round of the NFL draft.
The quote-unquote best situation, I guess. Actually, I think Jaden Higgins went to the best situation, but
yes, the
best first-round situation.
You know what's crazy? I'm putting this together in my head right now. Golden walks in and is probably the wide receiver 1. Higgins walks in and is definitely the wide receiver 2, and I almost feel better about Higgins' situation.
Honestly.
Knowing he's the wide receiver 2, as opposed to Golden thinking he's probably the wide receiver 1. We both have our reservations about Golden, not as the player, just as the situation, just because, dude, Green Bay drives you crazy. I mean, it absolutely drives you
Week 5,
crazy.
You're going to be pulling your hair out when Jaden Reed and Romeo Dobbs both have touchdowns and Matthew Golden has none.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I fully expect, I promise you, Week 1, Matthew Golden is going to have 9 targets, a touchdown, and 80 yards, and people are going to go crazy. And then it'll be 3 more weeks before he gets 5 targets. It's going to happen. I know it.
This is what Green Bay does.
I know it in my head. I know it in my – I don't know if I know it in my head or my heart. I know it one of them. But he's a first-round receiver. That's why I have him at the top of the tier. Dude, I've seen him going at like 105, 106. I cannot get behind that.
That is hot.
In a SuperFlex format, I would prefer 100%. I prefer Jackson Dart. I know a lot of people don't. I absolutely do, but he's a high second-round pick for me. He should be going up here.
Yeah, I mean he has to. It's the same. Like we have some reservations about Ted McMillan. He went at pick 8. I have no other choice but to put him here. Same with Travis Hunter.
Right.
We have questions about him. They traded 2 firsts to get him. We've got to put him there. This is the first receiver the Packers have taken in the first round in like 22 years. I've got to put him here. But we've kind of
I think the Packers realized.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I think the Packers realized last year, like, they do have a lot of good wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3s, and no 1. I think they did realize that, and it hurt them in the playoffs last year. And so I think this could be a shift in philosophy, but I don't know for sure. We were the guys all offseason. We've been talking about draft capital, draft capital, draft capital. And I know we have a guy in Caleb Johnson who was a mid-third round pick, 5 spots ahead of Golden. And all I can tell you is I like the situation Caleb Johnson's in at his position better than Golden's at this point.
It's the hit rates. The hit rates are better for running backs. They just are.
Yeah.
They just are.
Yeah.
And we've kind of mentioned Jaden Higgins. He has definitely made his way up boards, especially ours. It's A, he's a good player to begin with, and B, he probably went to the best situation. Because I know Nico Collins is the one there. Nobody's going to argue that. But Jaden Higgins, he's built like T. Higgins. He went to a situation similar to T. Higgins. He's going to play a similar role. And we've seen C.J. Stroud support 2 top 24 wide receivers before. I know Nico Collins was high, but I think Tank Dell was like top 20 before you got hurt that season, wasn't
he? Yeah. That's the thing. That's the thing is we have our reservations about Stroud as a dynasty asset, but as far as being able to fully capably handle 2 top receivers, he's shown he can do that. He has shown he can do that. Higgins is going to step in there. This does tell you how they feel about Tank Dell's injury. It's going to be a while for him, which I hate. I mean
he's going to miss an entire season for sure.
Yeah. And then he's going to come back as a 27-year-old in year 3.
I was supposed to say he came in older, like 24 years old, and it's been 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel really good about getting Higgins here in the early second. This is where he should be going. I like the talent, and the Texans, I mean, there was a lot of guys on the board. There were some good players on the board, good receivers on the board.
There were receivers who I think are better than him on the board.
Yeah, and they took him. They like him. I love getting him here in the early second.
Yeah, I've got to pick in our scramble draft, and if he's there in that early second, I'm absolutely taking him without hesitation.
Yeah, be thrilled.
Emeka Egbuka, another really interesting conversation because he actually went ahead of Matthew Golden in the draft. I think he's better than Matthew Golden. He probably should be going higher in our rankings than this, but the situation's just weird.
Yeah, I want to have him higher. I'm looking at this. I want to have him higher. I've seen him going also in the mid-first in drafts.
I think I was in a rookie draft, and he went at like 1-9 in a SuperFlex league.
Yeah, I can't get there. But I get it. He went in the first round. Baker can support multiple top receivers for sure.
He did it last year.
And I'll tell you what. If this is now, we have not heard anything like this, but if Mike Evans was to retire at the end of this year, this is crazy us having him this low. If that was the case, he should be going in the first round. Easy. But, Godwin's got 3 more years there. Evans is under contract. He could go a few more years. Like, I don't know. I love Egbuka. I love the player, but it's just hard. It's hard to forecast him getting large numbers of targets week in, week out.
Yeah. And if Chris Godwin is just not the same after his injury, also it'll be crazy us having this low.
That's
because
true.
he would instantly take Chris Godwin's role. Not that I think he's better than Godwin at this point in their careers, but he plays. If you had to comp Egbuka to a receiver in the NFL, it would be Chris Godwin.
Yeah. I mean, we could be. This is the one I look at and I'm like, man, we could be super wrong on this one. We could be super low on this one.
This could be a swing and a miss.
It's just. Where did Josh have him?
Josh, that's a good question.
I got it up right here. Josh had him. He had him at 12, so he's higher on him than we are.
Josh is actually the highest. That's crazy.
Josh is the highest on him. We could be dead wrong here. Now that I'm looking at this, I have no conviction about having him at 15. Like, if I had the 201 and I'm sitting there and these 3 receivers are there, I could see myself taking Egbuka if Higgins and Golden are both on the board. I could see.
Yeah.
But
this is a very conservative ranking we've got. I'm kind of with you. Looking at this, we should probably move him up.
We should probably have him higher. Yeah.
All right, 16. Probably my favorite player in the draft is easily Luther Burden. I was super high on him pre-draft.
This is your guy.
I was super high on him after the combine. Still didn't quite make it in the first round. And people kind of clown on Luther Burden, but he got really good draft capital, guys. To a coach that absolutely, like if you had to comp, another one, kind of similar to Egbuka, if you had to comp him to an NFL receiver, it would be a guy who's already on his team and under contract in DJ Moore.
Yeah, this is all landing spot because we love the talent. I like all the talents in this tier, but it's just, again, it goes back to the Colston Loveland thing. Like, how many times is Caleb going to throw the ball a week? If you're going to tell me he's going to throw the ball 60 times a week, okay, but I don't see that happening. To be fair,
they didn't take a running back. Swift is a really good pass catcher. And everybody wants to say Ben Johnson hates DeAndre Swift, so maybe they do throw it a lot.
Yeah, but man, Ben Johnson loves to run the ball now.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget what
That's what
Detroit was. I
he
know it was
built
high
Detroit
flying
on
and
that.
fun. Yeah, I know it was high flying and fun. Ben Johnson wants to tote the rock. So this is all about landing spot. I mean, both these guys, 15 and 16, we were all but devastated at the landing spots. Not because of the quarterback situation or anything, just because of the talent around them. I mean, how many mouths there are to feed. So I think it's safe having him in the middle of the second round.
Yeah. And then lastly, Trey Harris, and we'll finish. I'll say one more thing after we finish Trey Harris, but I mean, great. Another ideal land. Like we always say, the Chargers are an ideal landing spot because of Herbert, and like I don't see any reason to change that. We've seen Herbert support elite receivers. He's already got one elite receiver in Ladd McConkey, and the whole season we were saying Justin Herbert needs some help. Justin Herbert needs some help. Justin Herbert needs some help. Well, they just drafted Trey Harris to help. So he plays exactly like Mike Williams, and he's a much better version of QJ. So I'm in on Trey Harris.
I'm in on Trey Harris as well. I like him. He is a very good mid-second round pick. I will say this. All offseason we've talked about draft capital over landing spot, draft capital over landing spot. And then when we get to this tier, we're talking about how we love the draft capital and the players, but not necessarily the landing spot. When we've been saying that, we were talking about running backs in that situation.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people fall in love with these day 3 running backs with great landing spots, like your Cam Scatterboot types, right? That's different. When you're talking about a running back that goes in the second round versus the 4th round, there's a big difference in that than a receiver in the late 1st or early 2nd. Those are not that different, right?
Yeah.
Second running back to 4th round running back is very different. Late 1st round to early 2nd round receivers are not that different. So that's why we're going back to landing spot here. It's just because the draft capital for these guys is so similar. And the receiver position they play is so much different than the running back. So I just wanted to explain that a little bit.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Like you say the same thing for running back too. Like there's 2 first-round running backs. There's a reason they're in tier 1 and tier 2 by themselves, because that
Right.
is such a much bigger deal for running back than receiver. But back to Trey Harris. I think he's a perfect fit for the offense. I can see him having a good season, and Ladd McConkey actually being better than he was last year. Like that's what the roles they're going to play in. He's not going to touch Ladd's role. Ladd's not going to touch him. They can both eat in that offense.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely clear what the thought process is for this pick. Like
They're not
some
being
of the
subtle.
others, your Igbuka and your Burdens were like, man, really? You're taking this guy? I mean, crowded room, what's the role going to be? We know what the role for Trey Harris is going to be. It's
They're
come
done
in,
with QJ. They're done with QJ.
Yeah, it's come in.
They brought
Quentin,
back Mike Williams.
Take a seat.
Yeah.
Quentin learn to make tackles on kickoff, or you're getting cut, and Trey Harris is taking your spot. That's kind of what this is. So
They
love
brought in
this-
Mike
love
Williams,
this.
but he's got an extensive injury history, and he's 31 years old. So I don't trust him to stay on the field longer than about 40 snaps.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So we have all these receivers go in this tier, and then this is where we transition into the later round running backs in the next tier.
I do want to say one last thing after Trey Harris is I absolutely love 12 to 5. To like 112 to 205 in your rookie drafts are where you need to be for like trying to get cheaper value. If you can't get in the first, get into this tier. This is absolutely where you need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Great
Right,
value.
Yeah. This is a tier break, like you said, so I think that's tier 4, so we're going into tier 5. We got 3 players in this tier as well, 2 running backs and a receiver. This, like you were saying, this is where you get to the day 3 running backs. You have to go with the receivers in those good situations, and obviously the running backs higher. But now, if you like a running back and he went day 3 but went to a good spot, now you can take him. We got Cam, Scatterboot, Bashal Tootin, and then Jack Beck at 18, 19, and 20 in tier 5.
Yeah, Jack Beck sneaking in here, the one receiver in this tier. He's a late second round pick, which we love. Just the late second as opposed to the late first, and the weird situation is enough for us to kick him down a little below these other guys. But with Scattaboo and Tootin, we talked about it last week. These are guys who Scattaboo, it's clear to see how he has a chance to be a starter this season. Like,
Yeah.
the Giants, Tyrone Tracy, pretty good rookie year, awesome. We do not see you as a 3-down workhorse. That's what this pick is. And you get a chance. Scattaboo, we like the talent, right? He's a fan favorite. I said last week, I could easily see him having 60 to 65% of the snaps by the end of the year. In an offense that, are they going to win a lot of games? No. Do they have a chance to score some points if they just get okay quarterback play? Yeah. So I'm fine. Once we get through a lot of the second round receivers, I'm fine with Scattaboo being that next player off the board just because I think he has a chance to be a starting running back at some point this season.
Yeah. And to mention, too, like you had said, to where we were about draft capital, I know Beck went in the second round, but he also, in our opinion, isn't close to those other guys as far as talent.
Yeah.
So that's why the second round receiver there doesn't go. And Bashal Tootin, new coaching staff, day 3 pick, but will any of us be surprised if they just say, screw Travis Etienne, screw Tank Bigsby, we like Bashal Tootin? I won't be.
Yeah,
I don't think he starts day 1, but I don't think he starts day 1, but towards the end of the season, I can absolutely see Bashal Tootin working his way to a big role and potentially a starting role.
Yeah, for me, honestly, if it wasn't a new coaching staff, I wouldn't have him this high. But the fact that it is a new coaching staff, it was one of their first picks, and they have nothing tied with any of the other backs, I think right back-to-back with Scattaboo is probably right for him because he could be a guy that, even if he's never a workhorse, he could be a guy that for the next 3-4 years is getting 40 to 50% of the snaps in Jacksonville with an offensive coach and a quarterback that no matter what happens, people still believe in. I'll take that. I'll take that in the late second. I'll take that upside. Easily. So, I like Tootin there.
Yeah, and I like them both better than Jack Beck. Jack Beck, not that there's anything wrong with him per se. He'll never be the one on the Raiders offense.
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Jacoby Myers outscores him this year. We'll see.
Probably.
But, I mean, he can become the wide receiver 2 on that team. And the offense is going to be improved because you bring in Geno, and Genty is going to elevate the offense as well.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, new quarterback coming in at the same time. Like, people like when rookies come in together at the same time. Well, these two guys are coming into the building at the same time. So, him and Geno, who knows? Maybe he surprises us and is in that same tier with those other guys we just mentioned. But for us, we have him a little bit later. But to get a second-round receiver in the late second of your rookie draft feels
We're at pick
awesome.
20 right now. We're at pick 20.
Feels awesome. He is a late second-round pick, and if that's somebody – like I have the 209 in our Scramble Drill League. That's my first pick, and I would be thrilled to take a second-round receiver at that pick. And
absolutely.
There's a good chance he's going to be on the board. So,
and you got to think in your one quarterback leagues. I know we didn't talk much about that, but like in a league like our OG Mully League, this is a third rounder.
Yeah,
you're in the third round, getting the second round running back. So so that's our tier 5 is just those 3 guys. I think there is a drop off here after that, but there are definitely some names to be paying attention to, and there's going to be some controversial names in our last tier. It's probably the biggest tier. Do we want to just kind of name them all together and then sort through it that way?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been thinking about it. We have 7 guys, but honestly, all the day 3 running backs, the rest of the day 3 running backs are probably in this same tier. This tier could be 12 guys. You're looking at the day 2 tight ends and the day 3 running backs basically are in this tier with a couple quarterbacks thrown in. That's what we think. That's where we think the drafts should go after you get through the first 20 picks.
Yep. I absolutely love. I'm with you. Taking the. Here's where you can take the shot on the day 3 running backs. If you got somebody you like, you can absolutely take a shot here. You're not risking a whole lot. Based on all 3 of our rankings, and we were all kind of in lockstep, we think Jaden Blue absolutely is a great dart throw because he went to Dallas. Dallas doesn't really have anything outside of Javonte Williams on like a $2 million contract, which is nothing for the NFL. So he could easily become the starter there. Don't know if he will, but this is absolutely late second where you need to be taking a shot on him. The quarterbacks are an interesting conversation. We got Jalen Milroe in there. And Tyler Shuck, we finally figured out how to say his name. We were saying Schaff, I think, last episode.
I don't know. All I said was we don't know how to say his name. That was our take. We don't know how to say the guy's name.
Yeah. Tyler Shuck is officially, I think, the way it's supposed to be pronounced. I mean, I think he's going to start at some point this year for the Saints.
Yeah. He's going to start, guys. Like, could Tyler Shuck be a guy who plays in 9 games as a rookie, is abysmal, and never starts again? Yes. Could he be a guy that sticks around the league and gets starting opportunities, maybe with the Saints for 4 or 5 years? Yeah. I'll take that shot in the late second, early third. Like, do I have any conviction about this guy as a player? No, I do not. But he's a guy who's going to start as a rookie at quarterback. If you are in a SuperFlex league, that's valuable. That is valuable. Again,
as soon as they officially say Derek Carr is done, will not play this year, it is him and Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, like, even there is a good chance he never has one fantasy relevant game for you. I'm fine with taking him at the 211. I just am. Like, I'll take the upside of a guy who is a starting quarterback for 4 years, when even though his downside is never relevant at all. I'm fine with taking that in the late second round.
It's the same. It's all upside at this point in your rookie drafts. Like, it's the same thing. Mason Taylor. Mason Taylor may never be fantasy relevant for you, but you take the shot and see. Ferguson, he's with the Jets, right? Or no, Mason
he went to the
Taylor
Rams.
Went to the
I like
Rams.
Terrence Ferguson above
right.
all these tight ends. Yeah, above all these tight ends in this range, I like Terrence Ferguson the best. But you got Elijah Arroyo, went to Seattle. Harold Fannin Jr., whose college stats look like the old NCAA video games.
Oh, it's wild what he put up.
Yeah. But this tier is the 2 quarterbacks, Milroe and Shuck. Yeah. Those receivers, and then any day 3 running back you have the conviction about. We prefer Jaden Blue in this range to the others just because of the landing spot. Because none of these guys have great draft capital, so that's not the tiebreaker. We'll make the tiebreaker landing spot. Jaden Blue's a guy who sat behind like all pro level running backs every year of college until last year. So,
yep.
I'm fine with taking the shot on him. But if you like Giddens, if you like Woody Marks, whoever you like, I don't particularly like Woody Marks.
I'm secretly kind of high on Woody Marks, not because of him, but it's just because of situation.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you have conviction about that guy, take him. Those first 20 are the guys I would prefer go in the top 20 picks of your draft, and then after that, I'm basically open to whatever you have conviction about.
Yeah. And like I said, the first 20 are what we have conviction on. These are the guys that, like, hey, like them or not, they kind of need to be here. And then after that, I'm totally with you. This is where get creative. Do something crazy. Whatever you want. The world is your
Think
oyster.
for yourselves, guys.
Stop listening to this podcast.
Quit looking to us to solve all your problems.
I love how we're going to open with aggressiveness and we're going to close with it. It's not our problem what you do in the third round of your rookie draft. It's on you.
Yeah. I love it, though.
Well,
This is a great. I mean, you're going to get good players mid, late second round of your. Like, you're going to get players that I actually have conviction about in the late second round of your startup draft or of your rookie draft, and that is not the case with every rookie draft. Sometimes the dart throws start at like pick 14. This year, it feels like the dart throws start at about pick 21, which is nice.
I want to say one last thing, and it's something that we always need to keep in mind is people said this was a bad class coming in. They were like, oh, it's not 24. It's not even 2022's class. It's like the quarterbacks are bad. The receivers are bad. You've got like one or two running backs or a few running backs people knew about. They're like, it's not worth it. I'm like, guys, if you heard that and then you went and bought 2025 picks, seconds, and first-round picks, you are a very, very happy person right now because this is a deep class. It's a good class. You hit the jackpot. So I say that to say don't disparage a rookie class just because at the in August you don't like it. If you don't like the 2026 rookie class in August, that doesn't matter. It does not matter. Buy rookie picks.
And I will say this: we also all off season we were talking about if you only have one, like let's say you only have one first round pick, like the 104. I talked all off season. I feel great about moving to like 107, 108, 109, and getting a second on top of it. I still feel really good about that. If you were able to move from 103 to 107 and 206 or something, man, you are feeling good right now. Because
you know what that is?
That's a huge tier. Like
that
you
means
honestly
you
could get
probably
the player
just went
you
from
like
Henderson,
at 103.
Yeah. You went from like Henderson to Travis, and you picked up Trey Harris on top of that.
Yeah, and honestly, depending on who you like, the player you want if you had 103 might be there at 107. So this is just, man, I hope you listen to us. I hope you traded down. I hope you got picks because like I said, it feels like the dart throws don't start to like pick 20 in this draft, which is insane.
Last season was supposed to be like one of the cream of the crop classes because you had all of those good receivers and all of those good quarterbacks.
Yep.
And you had Brock Bowers, which was true, was very true. But after pick like 12 or 14 last year, I didn't really like anything. Like you had Trey Benson at like the 2-2, 2-3 was like, we'll give him a shot. And that was it.
Yeah.
There's nothing after
Jonathan
that.
Brooks was in there, yeah.
But I feel like at this point last year we were way higher on Jonathan Brooks. Like we had him pushing in the first round. He was one of the guys we felt good about.
Yeah.
So, but to have 20
he was
guys
consistently like early second, I think. But yeah, this is great. Last year's elite talent, looking back at it, is crazy with all those quarterbacks and receivers. But this year, the running backs, man, it's so nice to get an influx of running backs because it's been so hard the last few years. I know last year was better, but it's nice to get an influx of 4 or 5 guys you really like and trust. So, and really 6 or 7 guys you really like.
We really could be looking at one of those situations to where this kind of shifts the RB landscape to where we'll obviously go and rank dynasty running backs probably in the very near future. But Genty and Hampton have already shaken it up. They've both jumped into the top 5. I'll go ahead and spoil that right now because that's not a secret to anybody. And then Judkins and Henderson, and I think Caleb and RJ Harvey can all shake up that top 10 in dynasty running backs to where you could have had 5. We could have had 6 top 10 dynasty running backs in this one class.
I'd be shocked if any of those guys. I haven't done my rankings yet. I'd be shocked if any of those guys was outside of my top 15. Shocked.
That's
Right
over
now.
almost half of the top 15 just got drafted.
Yeah.
The complete total landscape
It's nice.
change. All right, on that little ray of hope, I think we can end it. I don't have anything else. Landon, you got anything else?
I mean, we just got to figure out what we have to do to get Josh on this podcast.
Yeah, that's the next big step.
Is there an agent we need to talk to or something?
Does he? Is that his wife? Is that is that who we need to talk to?
I don't know.
Haley,
My goodness.
let him go. Let him go. This will be the second time too we have adjusted our schedules because he's like, this is the only night I can do it, and then last second he jumps.
Oh, tomorrow night would have been much more convenient for me.
But you were like, I can make Tuesday night work. You should have texted me and just been like, hey, can we go tomorrow night? I'd have been like, all right.
It's fine.
Yeah,
It's
we're
fine.
here. We had fun. And, yeah, that's going to bring it to a close. If you enjoyed it, let us know. Leave us a like and review. We'll catch you guys in the next one.